Slight technical hitch. I just swing that around that way a little bit. Yeah, the mic's not sort of in shot. Hey YouTube! I'm going to start with Bucky at the start this time. Yeah, so I've just set up the... I got a new loop pedal thing, not loop pedal. So I can now play through this cabinet as well. So I'm going to play the bass for a couple of minutes, get going. And this pedal's got an A and B. Oh, the other one. So I can play through the guitar amp and the bass amp at the same time. And the knee plus pedal. Yeah, so that's my new, I said, started the bucket already. That's my new Delamo. It's a really bad name, so I can never remember what it is. Fuzz Face copy. It's a bit. So, I think I might have made a mistake with that. I looked up, I noticed there was a guitar pedal that came up on Facebook Marketplace in Paisley the other day, a TC Electronic Rusty Fuzz. And it was like 20 quid, and I'm getting my car MOT tomorrow, so I can't quite go and pick it up yet. And the guy said he would post it, and I thought, well, 20 quid plus a £5 postage. And I realised they're only 30 quid to buy new. Anderton's does them, that's delivered. So, and it's a copy of a Fuzz Face, so I'm not sure I really saved any money buying the Delamo one, assuming it's the same thing. Looks like my pal Ivor has bought the Rusty Fuzz though, so I might get a shot at it. I can maybe A/B them and see if there is a difference, because it's kind of meant to be a copy of a silicon Fuzz Face as well as what that is. And one of you guys commented the other day, I said it was a silicon one and it was a germanium. And apparently germanium is the older version, which are much more volatile and apparently super poisonous. So I think the one Hendrix had would probably be a germanium one. I think it's one of these sort of less efficient and not as good a component, but because you're using it for guitar, it sounds different. So I might need to try and get myself a poisonous one at some point. I'm not sure if you can still get germanium. I've heard the name used before. There's actually a pedal called a G-Fuzz I was going to buy from my pal G, but it wasn't cheap enough. Yeah. So I'm going to, I don't know, if anyone wants to ask something, I'm just going to talk as I normally do, just anything. Notice I've got the oscilloscope, which I've tried to do a video for. I need to get my special camera on a stick so I can show you the oscilloscope working, because it does actually run the guitar. It's kind of noisy, so I can hear it kind of blowing away in the background. It's got like a fan in it, but I don't know, it gives me a certain Borg thing going on in the background. So there's a guy saying he's working tonight, so I couldn't watch, asked me what my opinion was on nitro finishes compared to poly finishes, and it's like I don't know. Yeah, so it's not going to be very short, a very long conversation. I understand the principle of it. It's kind of meant to make like the wood breathe. I hope I don't get assimilated. Totally. I thought you said assassinated, and it's like, oh, what? You know what I mean? I'm not enough Bucky to get paranoid yet. But yeah, I'm actually watching Star Trek Voyager just now. Some of it's actually pretty good. I can, for some reason, I only remember the sort of really bad episodes. There are some that are pure cheesy, pure annoying. There's one about one of them's pregnant. You're like, yeah, I want to see spaceships and stuff, not emotional family stuff. Yeah, I'm totally off track now. I can't remember what I was saying. Poly finishes. Yeah, well, I've tried putting no finish on a guitar, as in that one there. The Shockingbird has, well, not, I stained it, sort of. I put, what did I put on it? Garden furniture preservative on it. The original plan with that was I was going to try and paint it. I got a boat. Well, if you're into boats, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about, or possibly motorbikes. Two-stroke engines in them, and two-stroke petrol. Smells amazing. Partly, I think, probably better out in the boat. I'm out in a sea loch, so it's kind of salt water, two-stroke petrol, amazing smell, and it's also blue. So I thought, you can put an oil finish on a guitar, yeah? So I figured, why don't I paint a guitar with two-stroke oil? Then it'll be blue stain, and it'll smell like a boat. Didn't work. It just kind of, it didn't really dry, and then it evaporated off and didn't leave anything. So that was kind of a bit, possibly. I'll let your wife watch the Antique Roadshow. Sometimes there's guitars on that. GW, that seems quite, I'll just call you G. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think I watched Anderton's video. Someone asked me actually last week what YouTubers are like, and I said I don't like any. That's not true. I do like some. Not enough that many guitar-y ones. I do watch the Andertons guys. I like the Captain. I think he's cool. He is obviously trying to sell stuff, but I mean, he's not lying. You know, he freely admits that he's trying to sell things. The Danish Pete guy's all right as well. I was never really that much a fan of Chapman. I mean, I think he's a nice guy and stuff. I find him about annoying. He's maybe this would be quite offensive. He's dead English. And it's like, I don't mind English people, but when they're really, really English, it's annoying. It strikes me as being really, really English. He gets a lot of flack on. I saw a thing a few months ago where a guy had slagged him off, saying it's like Chapman is a dick or something like that was the tagline, and he went from like the sort of my level of subscribers, you know, like sort of 500, 1,000 to like 10,000 because he gets so many views, and it's just like, I don't want to do that. I don't think he's a dick either. I just find him a bit annoying, but I mean, I don't think I see any harm in him. Yeah, the poly finish thing. But so the Andertons guys were talking about how it makes it age quicker, which I can sort of see. The only poly finish guitars I'm aware that I've got are the two Schecters. I've got the Schecter P bass and the Schecter Telecaster, and my Gibson EBO from 1968. is poly, and it's like, you know, it's kind of cracked and stuff. Not cracked like this. This is actually a photograph of wood on the guitar that's sort of chipped and fallen off. My plan was I was going to paint this guitar, but I've got it hanging on the wall. It's like I can hang it like that with the strap, and it just looks, you know, if the strap's kind of there, it's like, but yeah, it just looks like an amazing strap. Fantastic. Name's Jeff. All right, Jeff, how's it going? Faith Healer. That's Alex Harvey, isn't it? I don't know enough Sensational Alex Harvey band. It's really annoying. I should. I used to really like, there's a song called Midnight Moses, which is on a greatest hits I've got, which is fantastic. I think I bought their most famous album like for £1 years ago on record, and it was really scratchy. Which is there's a few albums that I've never really listened to because the record I bought was really scratchy. AC/DC Back in Black's one of them. I've never really heard. I mean, I've got all the AC/DC albums, but Back in Black's really scratchy. So it's like, it's got annoying jumps in it. So I've not really listened to that many times. Obviously, I know like Hell's Bells. Sort of. Yes, I do need to investigate some Sensational Alex Harvey band. Actually, the guy, I've got a wee sort of deal going with a shop called Blitzkrieg Shop in Glasgow where he's selling the Buckfast casters. Other guy Tony, and apparently Zal Clemenson goes in occasionally. I don't know if he's seen a Buckfast caster yet. He's the guitarist in Alex Harvey band. He was also in Nazareth as well. How many chords I've got right? But I really like that album. It's No Mean City, it's called. It's got a purple and green cover. It kind of looks very much like a Hawkwind DVD I've got. It's kind of exactly the same. I think it was the same artist that drew them both. But I really like that album, so it's kind of got rhythm guitar on it because it's got Zal in it. The only thing with that song is it's called Whatever You Want, Babe, and that's just, it's not a title that rolls off the tongue that makes it dead easy to remember what it's called. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, there must be about 1 million songs called Whatever You Want, Babe. It's like, could you not call it, I don't know, something a bit more memorable, like Razmanaz or something, you know? Obviously, they've already got a song called Razmanaz, so they can't do that. Yeah, so as I keep cycling through, Nitro is more expensive. If you're spending a couple of £1,000 on a guitar, I can see why you would want Nitro because it's more expensive, and then you can say it lets the wood breathe, the tone come out, all these things. I mean, there's a whole tone wood debate as well, which I can understand why you would want to. If you're spending a lot of money, you want the right kind of wood on it. I mean, that's what I was looking at when I was building out kitchen worktops. And that double neck I bought, it's fantastic. Made a beach kitchen worktop, and it's the kitchen worktop's really, really, really tough. I mean, I had an offcut of it, you know, off the end of the kitchen, about that size, with the blocks running that way, and I put it between two bricks and drove the Land Rover over it, and it didn't break. So I mean, this stuff is super, super, mega beyond strong, unnecessarily so. So it's an absolute pig to work with, and that probably took me 2 or 3 times as long to make that base out of kitchen worktop as it would have if I had just bought a piece of mahogany or ash or whatever tone wood you want. And at the end of the day, it's never going to be worth any money because it's made out of a kitchen worktop. So it's like there's a certain amount of, you might as well, I mean, I don't know how much is a block of ash or something the size of a Strat cost. It's like 40 quid or something like that. So even if you make a pine, which I'm just assuming is free, it's only 40 quid more. So if that was made out of, that's been just made out of joist. If that was made out of mahogany, it could be like a £500 guitar or something like that, but it's not. It's made out of joist, and it's probably harder to use the joist, because it kind of chips, and it's dead hard to get it smooth. It kind of goes furry when you try and sand it. Yeah. But poly coating is, I'm happy with that. I mean, I think there's a point where you get a bit silly. I always think that my Gibson SG Special, I was told when I bought that, whether it's true or not, that at the time there only was one SG. They basically made an SG, and then they had it, and the ones that had a sort of grain that wasn't very attractive, you know, maybe had some line through it or something like that, they went in this pile, and then they get dipped in red plastic, and then became an SG Special. And the ones that looked kind of nice went to the other pile, and then got the cherry varnish on them and became SG Standards. So basically it's exactly the same guitar, apart from the SG Standard got covered pickups, the same pickups but covered ones, and binding on the neck, and a rosewood fingerboard, and like the diamond thing on the headstock, whereas that got an ebony board, no binding, and uncovered pickups. Apart from that's the same guitar. But then again, if you're going to coat it in varnish, what's the difference between varnish and, I just think of it as plastic or something like that. I think that this guitar here is basswood, I think. Basswood's meant to be the best of all the woods, because it's so much, it's the easiest one to work with, and it's lighter and it sounds best. The problem with basswood is basswood's not a very sexy name. Also, it's not a very fancy looking wood. It's just kind of, doesn't really have any fancy grain on it or anything. It's just like bland looking. All Ibanez's, all the Steve Vai's Ibanez and stuff are all made of basswood, because it's the best, apparently it's the best tone wood. And I don't know where it comes in. I should really do a comparison. I tried to do it before, but I think it was before I had a decent mic and all that. I've got the Washburn Falcon and the Washburn Eagle are basically sort of the same guitar, like 5-piece neck through, apart from the Falcon has a rosewood, an inch thick rosewood top on it, and the Eagle has an inch thick maple top on it, and a bit more binding. But it's just to try and see if there was any difference in it, and I couldn't say. It's like, I think, I don't, you know, that's rosewood and maple, I don't know. But then, and the only reason Les Pauls have the carved top and the maple top is because the guy at Gibson knew that Fender didn't have a machine that could do a carved top. So Les Paul's original model didn't have a curved top, it was just flat mahogany. And because he knew that the Gibson guys knew that Fender couldn't do the carved thing, and they had the machine from building arch tops and stuff, that's why it's good. And then had this great idea for, yes, you want the mahogany body for the depth, and then you put the spank on top with the you know, to get with the maple top. That's true. Yeah, Jeff, I'm doing well. I'm drinking the finest from Buckfast Abbey in Devon. Bucky. I started drinking it last week, but I left it too long, and I ended up letting the live stream run for like an hour and a half. So I'm going to cut this to, I'm not going to run it for as long as an hour, but I'm hitting the Bucky just to make it fun. Any excuse, really. I never drink alone, so I'm not alone, so it's fine. It's a staple up here. In Scotland, I don't know if you've seen them, the Buckfaster caster guitars, where basically I just buy sort of cheap Strats that need fix them up, paint them green, put a yellow scratch plate, red pickups, some stupid switches and stuff in it, stick a Bucky label on the headstock, and I'm almost famous for it now. I think I've done something like 30 or 40 of the things I've done. I've numbered them all and all that. I did Iron Brew guitars as well. I've got one there which I'm going to show kind of now. Well, the reason I'm using this Strat, this is my sort of reference guitar. Probably best without the fuzz pedal on just now. So the reason I'm using this, tones down, that's why. I don't know what Orange Room is. I've heard the name. I don't know if it tastes like Thunderbird. Thunderbird's pretty minging. Although I never had the real Thunderbird. I think they changed it. I remember going back a bit, I went to see The Who in Wembley Arena in '97, I think, when we were doing the Quadrophenia tour. And I was driving, but my pal wasn't, so he just get drunk. I was like, great. But he bought Berry Thunder, I think it was. And he was complaining that it wasn't, he used to get, so this is going back 25, 20 odd years. And he was saying he used to get Thunderbird, it was a blue label, and Thunderbird, it was a red label. And one of them was like 15%, one of them was 17.5%. And that used to be the Thunderbird we used to get here. I actually saw C6 Steve at the Connect Festival at Inverness Castle about X number of years ago, and he was drinking a bottle of Thunderbird, and he did basically what I did here. He turned up, he sat down on his stool with his £50 guitar, or whatever it was. Every time he took a swig of the Thunderbird, the crowd would all cheer because we're Scottish. And then after the first song, it was like pure maybe another drink. We're like, hey! And then everyone just kept cheering, and I think he downed the whole bottle by the time he finished the second song. Lovely guy. Actually met him afterwards. He was like doing a signing thing. This is before like 2 weeks. I think it was the same. He was still doing the same British tour when he went and played on Jules Holland and then became famous. He wasn't famous when we saw him, never heard of him. So it was a couple of weeks later he was on Jules Holland. He's only got 3 strings on his guitar. So I asked him what 3 strings he's got and how to tune it, and he drew me like a wee chart thing saying like you use the E and the D, use the A, the D and the G strings, but you tune them to B. I can't remember what it was. What I found was when I did tune to that, I just kept playing In My Time of Dying by Led Zeppelin because that's what that sounds like. And everything I played seemed to sound exactly like that. So I didn't last very long with it. Orangey Boom's Dutch beer. I'm not really a beer drinker. I did actually quite enjoy a beer when I was in China. It was like beer. It was really cheap. Buying big beer balls of beer almost the size of this for like £1 with my dinner, and I was buying it anyway. And I was really enjoying having one beer. Hey Daniel, I'm already. I wonder if there's nothing for me to sit at. Not quite. I was thinking I could have like a bucky meter. I need to get myself a shelf that sits there so you can see how far through the live stream I am, but how far down the bottle of bucky I am. Anyway, yeah. So this is a genuine Fender Stratocaster, and the one that I've been working on some mad guitars this week. I just finished this one this afternoon. This is like I'm not a huge Van Halen fan. I did have this idea before, but then he died like a couple of months ago, and I figured I didn't want to be. Yeah, C16 is cool. Yeah. Yeah, so here's the van, but it doesn't have a name yet. Iron Brew. I just basically taped it off and painted it blue and orange. This is a Sun Mustang, sort of. See the early Sun Mustangs? I did a video of one of these a while ago. The early ones were made in India, and they were really good. They had the Bucky Vans in the garage. I've not done that one yet. I did 2 at the same time. I need to alter the neck. I'm kind of building the neck for that one. This one was quicker. Yeah, so this is an Encore, but it's the exact same guitar as the first. I think it's the first Sun Mustangs. So it's really good. Really surprising. So I'm that's why I was playing the Fender one first, because I'm playing this now, and it's it kind of feels like it. It's really not that different. A wee bit heavier. Still got the original pickups in it. Obviously, I replaced one of the pickups. I put a new switch. Designed yet another new switch. I keep just kind of the same switch, but I keep modifying it to do different things. So mini switch, 3-way. When it's down the way, it's just a Strat. Middle position, nobody ever uses. Just 2. this guitar is worth less than any one of the 3 pickups in that one. In fact, it's worth less than the 3 pots in that one. I did do a bit of, because it's quite old, I did have to do a bit of fretwork on it. So, if you buy one brand new, or you can't buy one brand new, it depends whether someone's done the fretwork on it. But the quality of the wood of the neck is lovely. The tuners are the sort of cheapy type, but they work fine. Actually, you can see it. Look at it. It's even got flame in the neck. But it's lovely. The main problem with these is it's got the right size nut. I think that the nut's better is the usual size. Yeah, 42mm, so that's normal. Changes here though. The spacing on the bridge is, instead of being 52, it's 50, or 54, it's 50. So these strings are closer together. So this is thinner here. So if you try and put any other kind of bridge on it, the strings come off the edge of the fingerboard. The neck doesn't fit into any other guitar because it's 2-3mm thinner than a normal guitar, which makes it annoying. The pickups are, you might even be able to see it there. They're slightly shorter and slightly fatter than a normal pickup. That's a normal pickup. So there are downsides to it. But these pickups I think sound fantastic. I'm not using the orange one just now. They're called steel backs because they've got a metal back on them. A lot of people just immediately assume, I'll just change pickups and put Seymour Duncan in it. My pal Scott, who might be on just now, did that. He's the one I did. He absolutely loves his. I can't remember whether his is the Encore one or the Sun Mustang. I think there's some story about Sun Mustang building, or Fender had it as an official Fender license, and then they built them for a year or something, then they changed the design and moved to somewhere else, Korea or China or something like that, and then so for a short time the ones that hadn't been badged yet, so it's still got the proper Fender headstock, like a pure lawsuit number, which I obviously stuck an Ivory label on. You can peel it off and it says Encore. Yeah, so original pickups. The bridge, I used I sold my psychedelic Strat a few weeks ago, which is like, it was the one that I didn't dip, my pal did. I just decided I didn't like it. Time to get rid of it, never play it. It had expensive steel saddles on it, like fancy looking ones, which didn't really fit it because I think the bridge on it was one of these. So it was kind of, instead of the saddles being straight, they were kind of splayed a bit, which was annoying. So I put the saddles of this one onto that guitar, and these saddles are solid brass, which I got a few years ago, and then realised that you couldn't really put them on any of my guitars, because there was a gap between them. So I suppose it probably wouldn't have made any difference, but you want the saddles to be touching, but because they're for a 50mm, you ended up with like a millimetre gap between them all, so they kind of felt that they'd be doing that. I didn't think that was a good idea. So they're in this. So the saddles are probably worth more than the guitar. Now, it really does play as good as the Fender one, but it maybe even sound better. Yeah, so if we go on to my Switch, evening David. I've already pretty much tanked my bucky. That's half an hour. I've been drinking it for half an hour, so I still haven't been able to find Magnum yet. I've even got an order from Tesco, like a home delivery thing. And although if you type in Magnum into the internet, it comes up that it's in Tesco, it must only be in England or something like that, because it wasn't available for me to get delivered. So I was going to buy 3 or 4 bottles of it. If anyone who's anywhere near Campsie or Kirky knows anywhere that sells Magnum, give me a shout, because I quite fancy going there. Somewhere relatively close between here and town. Something Springburn or something like that. Is there anyone from round about there knows? Hey, other Davids. Yeah, so onto my fancy Switch. Well, the pots are original, I didn't change it, they worked. So this volume, a high pass filter, and a tone control. The high pass filter, I think these are A500 watts. I think it should be a 250 because it does work. But that's it. When you go down to 8, it's already really thin. If you go all the way down, you end up sucking away all the bass really quickly. So it's maybe not got the right. But it does work. It's just really the useful points all between 10 and 8. And there's no point in having the two tones anyway, and the master tone just does everything. So that's a master high pass, and then the tone's a master low pass. So my wee switch is down the way, which is giving us a strat. You put the switch into the middle, it adds in the orange pickup in series. So when you're in the bridge position, you get a bridge humbucker. So bridge single, bridge humbucker. Yeah, and I could easily just have done that, but why not make it so that when you move it, basically what it does is it puts the orange pickup in series with whatever's in the switch. So if you go to the neck position, you get this and this as a humbucker. And then if you're in position 4, you get these two in parallel in series with this one. So you get 5 different humbucker sounds. So it can be something treble. And that's so in the middle position it's just this one and this one is a humbucker. So that's actually just a normal sort of middly humbucker. Position 2 is these two in series, but these two in parallel in series with this one. And then on the mini switch, that's it in the middle. So if you go forwards, it's a Gilmore switch, so it adds in the neck pickup. So if you're on the bridge pickup, it gives you neck pickup and bridge pickup together. Which sort of Telecaster sound. And if you go into the position 2, you get all 3 pickups on. So that gives you, when you've got the Gilmore switch on, you've got the 2 extra sounds are these 2 and 3 odd, so that's 2. In position 1, you get the 5 strat sounds, and in the middle position, you've got the 5 humbuckery sounds, so this does 12. That's one more. I'm sure the last time I did a switchy thing, it was 11. So this is 12 sounds, but just adding in one switch. So if you've got it fully back the way, then it's just a strat. You don't have to worry about whether it's on or off. I was talking to someone the other night, they were talking about putting lots of switches in your guitar, and the trick is, I find, is to try and make it relatively easy to operate. It doesn't really need to make that much sense what it's actually doing, but if you just know that if you push that back, it's just a strat. It's off. So I think that'll be a bit of a... humbucker. What's happened here is the gate's not 100% dry, or the gate's dry, but the lacquer's not. So it's just slightly sticking to it a bit, so I need to be a bit more. So this is the orange one at the neck has a humbucker. Exactly the treble. kind of tempted to try and use my my new pedals. Hey Craig, that I've now put on a shelf here. The thinking there was so I could actually, I've got them activated there through that bucky pedal. So thinking because I can actually reach them, I can actually set them while I'm standing there. Wasn't that a good idea? But I don't really I can't play any Van Halen. Sorry. Yes, you did. Well, I kind of discussed Jonathan Johnston, quite a lot of Johnsons in there. I started talking about it. It really was pretty inconclusive. I basically said, if you're spending lots of money on something, then I suppose you want nitro. It's meant to age quicker, which is that a good thing? Because I mean, obviously you could pay tons of money for relic guitars now, and I've got plenty of relic guitars, but none of them were artificially aged. Basically, I bought them because they were beat up and not working. So that's how I got so many guitars. The ability to buy them when they're a bit knackered is really good. I don't know if you wanted one. Actually, the fumes are getting to me a little bit on this. It's dry, but it just seems to. Hey, Electric Caveman, you keep commenting on my videos, so I'll love you. Yeah, watch the start later on. I didn't. To be honest, I'm pretty inconclusive. I just argued about it and saying that I don't know enough about whether it's good or not. I understand the thought of it's a nice idea, making you think, oh, it breathes, it makes the guitar vibrate. But in reality, in an acoustic guitar, totally makes a huge difference what an acoustic guitar is made of. An electric guitar, provided we're going for it as long as it's well built, so the scale length is right, the frets are at the right height, it's ringing properly. I don't think it really makes any difference. It will just now. Like say for just now, if you're doing what I'm doing here and you're sitting here playing like right next to your amp in a quiet room, okay. But if I was just recording that, especially from a line out, but maybe even the mic you're listening to is just there, so maybe you can hear there's some sort of addition of the sound to what's coming out the pickup. This is a neck pickup from this Encore Strat, unmodified. Okay, I did sort the frets on. I sorted the frets on the Fender as well. So listen to this. And then compare it to. The reason I'm putting this down is because the fumes are starting to make my eyes sting a little bit. It's obviously not the bucky. And then we're going into a Japanese Strat, which I saw one of these on eBay yesterday for £1,099. Out of the original pickups in it, this is a 1974 Strat pickup. Yeah, it's a little bit clearer. Sweat a little bit. Yeah, so obviously I didn't pay £1,000 for this, but the one that was £1,000 didn't have these horrible cracks on it with bits chipped off, obviously. But it's still the original pickups. This has got like a 70s Fender pickup, which I got years ago. Fender gold lace sensor, which I believe might be worth quite a lot of money as well. I got that in another guitar, and a DiMarzio DP, which is a stacked humbucker, which again I got in a guitar. I don't buy these things. Yeah. Question: How do you get the time for the Cult on She Sells Sanctuary? Just stop flanging, but can't seem to get the sound. I don't know. I don't know the Cult at all. I think No, we did. We used to try. When I joined the Cranking House band, they wanted to do cult songs, and I learnt one. I can't remember what it went like now, but I really don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what. Maybe I don't know why the cult. Never really heard anything I've really liked. I do remember. Yeah, paint finish. Well, see that I didn't want to just say paint finish and electric cork snipping. I didn't want to say that, but I mean, if you want to enjoy it, then fair enough. I mean, I'm always slagging off. Like, how can you spend $2,500 on a guitar and all this stuff? And it's like, but if you really enjoy it, then why not? I suppose just because I wouldn't, and I don't think it's worth it, but. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it gives you something to talk about. Because, I mean, it's like, some of the problems I've got. I mean, the reason I don't get as many hits on my videos as a lot of other YouTubers is, not because I'm a dick, but that's one of the reasons, but mostly because most of the guitars I do are ones that nobody really knows about. When I do get like a Squire or a Mexican Fender in or something like that for getting fixed, that's when I get hundreds of hits because, it's like I just don't find them interesting. There's not really much to say. I mean, okay, this is a real Fender Strat, but I mean, it's at least a bit interesting because it's this photo flamey thing, which is quite unusual. I like it. Makes it much more interesting than a normal Strat. It's not as good as a normal Strat, but it makes it a bit more interesting. And then I get to talk about it because I put different pickups in it. Whereas if it just came with the standard pickups and it was just black, it'd be like, yeah, here's my Japanese Strat. I said, yeah, the interesting bits have all gone. I don't know. Get the dot out. I'm a sucker for a request. As soon as I know where it is, I was playing it. I wanted to try the new fuzz pedal through it, so I was playing with it yesterday. I should know where it is. No, that's not it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so my Squire Bullet, which actually the guy who I bought it was a Trade Tuesday thing I did a while ago, before this lockdown happened, and then I swapped a Yamaha for that Fender, and the guy was saying, well, that's not a Squire Bullet you've got. So I took it over to show him, and he was absolutely in tears when he saw this, because he had one like when he was 16 or something like that, and he offered me a huge, ridiculous amount of money for it, like 3 times what I paid for it. And I said no, but I'll hold it to him. Maybe one day I'll sell it to him. This is kind of the same as the Fender one, apart from it's a smaller body. This is Telecaster head. This is a one-piece neck though, which I really like. The one-piece neck. Fender Japan. Also, serial number of this baby is SQ00016. So this is the 16th Squire ever made. Unless you include the JV series, but I think they were meant for the Japanese market, even though they did sneak it over here. So with a wee asterisk after it, this is the 16th Squire guitar ever built. And how many Squire guitars are there in the world? So they must sell millions a year. This is the 16th one. It's still in tune. These pickups, although they look like humbuckers, are actually 2 single coils back to back. Kind of, actually, basically, they're that. What I did there, so that the orange one here is reverse wound and reverse polarity. When you put them in series, you get a humbucker. That's really, really strong smelling. So that's what these are, and there's a wee switch to make it single coil or humbucker. And a volume and a tone. The switches in Japanese guitars are rubbish. This is the same switch that I just fixed up a Telecaster for a pal Ian, and then it was it's called a DM30, I think, switch. You can still get it now. It's the DM30 switch that was in this, the original one from 1983, and I bought another one off eBay, exactly the same, still said made in Japan, same sticker that said DM30 on it, just to try and keep it original. But they're not really that good switches. They're kind of crunchy and they're not really. It was only a tenner though. I was thinking of it being 40 quid or just to put any old switch in it. So it's the DM30, there's also a DM50. The DM50 is the one that was in my Ibanez Blazer. That's the 50 being 5-way and the 30 being 3-way. As you know, a 3-way switch and a 5-way switch are exactly the same thing. That might be news to people, but basically it's exactly the same switch. It's just that if you think back in the Hendrix team when he used to wedge it between the two positions to get the equivalent of position 2. Basically all they did was put a notch in the switch to wedge it between position 2. So that's what a 5-way switch is. It's not really a 5-way switch, it's just a 3-way switch that's got a notch between positions 1 and 2, so it stays there, like with both of them on. Yeah. It's always better when I put a new switch in it. Yeah, or don't worry, I'm on the wine as well. Although technically it's a red wine based aperitif, but in many places in Glasgow, if you just say, "Can I get a bottle of wine?" that's what you mean. I don't. I'm too classy for that. Also, people put it in the fridge, and I'm just too classy for that as well. I think it's red wine, sort of, with a wee asterisk after it, just like this is a 16th Squire. Yeah, so I drink it at room temperature or slightly warm, and don't call it wine just because I'm really classy. Obviously, still drinking it at the bottle because that somehow works. Actually, I saw a thing on Facebook the other day. What's the wee guy's from Bathgate's name again? Lewis Capaldi. Is he a racing driver? Whoever it is, I think is his name similar to Lewis Capaldi. The wee guy who always slags himself off. He was at the Brit Awards or the Emmys or something like that. And he went up on stage and he had a bottle of Bucky. And it was like, yay! He's all right. Actually, I've never heard any of his music at all. I assume he's terrible. But he's a really funny guy. I keep seeing funny things. There was one, I saw a thing where he was outside Greg's. Like they had a TV crew with him when he was at Greg's, and he was outside sort of busking, kind of going, Greg's, my favourite sausage roll, and such things. Funny guy. Like the guy. You pressed me to. Well, I'm afraid that this has already been bagged by someone else. The guy I bought and he offered me more than it's worth, so that might have to go. But I might sell you my white Telecaster. I was thinking about that the other day because I'm in the process of fixing the neck on the Antoria, which is a sort of cream Telecaster I've got, which is my Telecaster that's got Telecaster pickups in it. So my plan here was that this neck, right, is dead straight, the Antoria. Absolutely straight, and you don't want it to be perfectly straight. You want a little bit up bend in it. What I did was I loosened off the truss rod, which normally makes it bend up, but the truss rod was tight when I got it, and this guitar's from 1973. I think the truss rod was over tightened in 1980. So for 40 years, it sat there. 41 years, it sat being too tight. And then when I loosened it off, it just kind of went loose. So what I've done is I've kind of put it against this cheaper neck, and it's just bending it so it's got a bit of a bow in it. I don't know if that really showing how much of a bow there is in it. Is it that way? Can you see it? So it's now got a bit of a back bend. So I'm now thinking that if I leave that for a couple of days, sitting on top of the heater, it will be that shape, and then I can use the truss rod to make it straight. At least that's the plan. Now here's a difference. This neck's goose stripe, but this is a laminate neck, so it's 3 pieces of wood, right? The idea there being the middle bit has got the grain going that way, and the other 2 outside bits have the grain going that way, so it's super, super strong. It's also a Fuji Gen built guitar, which is the same factory that built this, and the same factory that built the Fender. So it's basically this. It's a 10 years older than this one, and 20 years older than that one guitar, kind of same quality. Japanese neck. And this is a Gould neck, which I thought was really good apart from the fact it's twisted, but look how much that deflected. if I can get that so you can see it up at the camera. But that's how much that neck deflected, right? Compared to the Japanese one. It's like, yep. So that one's deflected down about 10 mil, and that's down about 30 mil. Really annoyed. That was the one that was in the Buck Van Halen guitar, and I thought it was going to be fantastic, and it just didn't work. The neck was just like this. It was just rubbish. Lewis Hamilton is a Formula 1 driver. I didn't say Lewis Hamilton, did I? That's the guy who I think. Who's Lewis Capaldi? That's what I said, wasn't it? No. Is Capaldi the guy in Traffic? Oh, I don't know. You know the guy I mean. He played actually in a place called the Purple Orange Arts Venue in Bathgate, because that's where he was from. About a couple of months before I did, and I went up and played with my psychedelic strat I was talking about earlier on that I sold. I played all of the Satanic Majesty's Request by the Stones at 1.5 times the speed I should have, because I was too nervous and playing my own. That was my one solo gig. I played an entire Stones album on my own, which was fun. Chateau Aldi. Yeah, but I was looking in. Did red wine not used to be really cheap? I remember when we used to go camping and stuff like that, when we'd buy like proper carry out, and then so you didn't run out, you would just buy a couple of bottles of red wine. So it's like you didn't just not have any booze. Suddenly it's 1 o'clock in the morning, or because you started drinking it in the afternoon before the sun went down. So you had something. It was like $2.99 a bottle, and now it seems to be like £6 a bottle, and it's like it's only £6 for a bottle of bucky. So I'll just have that price. Yeah, Lewis Capaldi is a singer for Bathgate. Yeah, I thought so. Who's Felix Paparaldi? There's somebody called Capaldi in. Alright, you just asked me who the racing driver was. Okay. Yeah, I could have done. I give me a message about the telly. I will do. I was thinking about it. You just never asked. I was going to text you back. Somebody said something I was going to say there. Someone said I want to rock. I want to rock. Yeah, maybe if I thought about it for 30 seconds, I could have played I Want to Rock. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. What was it? I was watching something on Netflix, and it had Dee Snider was a barman in it. What was it? Something like that, but like an actor. And I thought, if you didn't know who he was, I think he was running a bar. His uncle's an actor called Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi, who's Doctor Who, my favourite Doctor Who. Apart from Sylvester McCoy, obviously. But yeah, Scott, I was going to say about your Sun Mustang. There's the Van Halen version of it. I've stopped playing it because the paint's not dry yet.